We start concentrating on your conversion from valid state to invalid state. Now once we start understanding the format indicators, now it's time to understand how we can go for the sake of converting from an invalid state to valid state. Now if you are remembering the conversion factors or select the format models, then I don't think there should be any difficulty when you are trying to go for the sake of a valid state implementation. Now when you are dealing with any kind of data and you know that that particular data is in the form of an invalid state, it should conform to the standards of the Oracle's environment. Means format models, what they expect with respect to that particular state, it should be applied. And whenever we start working with the conversions from invalid states to valid state, you should first finalize you're having invalid state of a number or you're having an invalid state of a date. And accordingly, you will start calling the functions. One is the toNumber function. When we just call the function, we apply the actual data that is in invalid state. We specify the format indicators. If necessary, we can go for the sake of NLS parameters. Then we have the today. Today also goes in the same construct. We need to give the data with respect to the date that is an invalid state. Provide the format indicator and the corresponding NLS parameters what you are expecting. Now, what do we exactly mean by this? If we are just aware of the things that have happened in the last two classes with respect to the conversions, then what we are trying to do now is just a reverse of the process. Now you can just watch here, we have been stating something like 1234 where I was having a group separated, let us say. Then we are saying dot 00. Then we are just moving down with this is 1. Then we are just going down with the criteria of 4567.00. This is num2. Now technically we have to add these numbers as it is. Now I am just having this number with me added with the second number what we are having in the process. Definitely if we try to go with the composition of the process, it will give us an error. Now we were trying to keep these numbers in valid state and then we started adding them, but I don't think we can take like that when it's coming from any front-end tool. So keeping the data as it is, we need to apply the process of the conversion. So I am calling my to_number and then I am just trying to mention through the process. Now when we are mentioning through this, you need to be very clear. The format should be clear in your mind. But this kind of style of the number, what was the format you were implementing in yesterday's class? Can you just tell me?
9G.
Tell me now.
9G.
9G.
999. D. 99.
So that's how you have to specify. Means you have to tell your Oracle, this is some number that is in this format. Then automatically looking into the format, your function will understand it will start converting this into a number. Means Oracle knows how to convert this into a number now because the format is matching. The same way on this also we shall work independently by saying to_number. And then we need to specify the format indicator once again. Tell me the format indicator.
9G 9999 D 99.
So once if you have been working with the valid to invalid, invalid to valid is also in the same specification. Now once you did this, you watch your Oracle starts adding those two numbers, returning you with the number in pure numerical form. But technically I don't think the end user will be happy with this result. He expects the result to be in which type? This type. So our job is to see that this particular data what we are having is once again reconverted to the invalid state by giving the format indicator 9G999D99. So once we have done this, you can just watch. The result is in the style with which the end user was expecting. So you started working once with conversions. Now the remaining level of conversions, I don't think they'll go something different in the process. So in the same criteria and composition, if we are working once again, Let me say that I am having some data with me where my data that is being presented by the end user is like this, along with the currency. So I don't think I can add these two numbers as it is at any point of time, because technically they are not at all matching, or they are cross matching to the state of the process that can be adaptable to the mathematical analysis. So definitely my system goes for an error. Now I have to tell my Oracle's environment the state of conversion on this. So what's the function we call now? Tell me now, what is the function?
To underscore number.
Now we have to give the format indicator. Start the format indicator now.
9G 999 D 999
then
comma L.
Okay. Then after this we have to stop, or we should continue?
Continue.
We should continue by saying what?
NLS
underscore
currency
is equal to
INR.
So as to your requirement, you'll start working out on the issue. Now once again, what's the function I need to call here?
To underscore
Start
number.
now.
To underscore number.
And then we are going with the format indicator. What's the format indicator you have to call now?
9G 999 D 99
for L. And after this,
NLS underscore currency
is equal to
INR.
So I hope you are catching up the process now. Now once the construct is moving properly to the rule, the way it is demanded by the process, if everything goes well, Oracle puts it into valid state. We need to put the data once again into which state? Invalid state, because the end user was giving the data in this style. So your job is to return the data once again to the same style and same format. So what's the function we need to call now?
To underscore char.
So we are saying to underscore char of. We are directly moving down with the issue of giving all this into the criteria, comma, what we should say now? Tell me now. 9G 999 D 99
comma.
Then
NLS
underscore currency is equal to
INR.
So once you are moving with this, you can just watch the process. So if you are able to work with the criteria of the conversion once, if you are able to work with the criteria of the conversion once by using a tucar as a process, I don't think you have any trouble working out on the constructed criteria with respect to the number once again separate. It's just a process you have to understand. That's it, nothing more than that. Now in the same construct, let us see what the today is speaking with us. Now let us just go with something like, we are saying 20 December 13. Definitely this is today, and the format is exactly to the Oracle's requirement. But when we are trying to say 20th December 13, and then we are saying plus 3, let us say it was a failure on the process, where it was saying that it's invalid number. So technically my system should understand that this is a date now. So this date what I'm having is in the original format, or it's not in the original format?
Original format.
So simply you can call to date, and you don't need to give any format indicator. So even if you don't give format indicator, Oracle can understand. Be very clever, sir. Why it's able to understand? Because this is in original state of the format indicator. So today it can understand that as a date. Now for clarity purpose, for your clarity, you can always go with the construct by saying comma dd hyphen mon hyphen. For your clarity, you can provide that extra indicator as a process. The same way you just watch, we are having some date, let us say something like this. We are saying like Friday 20 December 2013, and then we are saying A dot. This is my date. Definitely at any point of time, I cannot add this date with this 3. Absolutely not acceptable. Now in this particular case, I have to tell my Oracle that convert this into what now?
Date.
So what's the function I have to call?
To date.
To underscore
Date.
And then you're just calling down with the criteria by saying what's the format indicator, tell me now.
DAY.
DAY, date, then
DD. DD.
you have to use everything that is there in the actual data, comma, then space. Then you're saying DD, then comma, then what you should go with?
Month.
MONTH, month, then space with YY, then space. You can view the indicator with anything close. So once you set this, Oracle can understand the process and it will give you the valid date. Now you should know how to make it once again get represented in this way. So today converts the into date. Date always by Oracle is like this only. So you want that in the user style once again. What's the function you have to use?
To char.
To underscore char of. You are just taking the whole process that's available. Then what's the indication now? Tell me. DAY, day, then comma. You should say DD, comma, MONTH, then space, YY, then space. You want anything, you can say. Okay? So AD or PC, whatever it is, that doesn't matter. Okay, I was just specifying on that from yesterday. The moment you do this, what you'll get. But one very important thing that I told you yesterday, you're missing it. You should never forget that you will be getting extra pads. Therefore, your interviewer is searching whether you will keep that particular format indicator for eliminating the pads or not. Are you catching the point now?
Yes,
so definitely he'll be searching whether you are using the FM or not. So you are not using FM and your friend is using FM. Half a mark of difference can arise. And that can definitely make a big deviation in selection. Be very clear about that. So on the technical perspective, be very clear like what exactly is meant by conversion. Conversion is a practice when it cannot be by hearted. Be very clear about it. You by heart it, you will remember. What you remember? To char, to number, to date. These three functions you will remember, but you can't remember the format indicators until you do not apply them. Once you seriously apply them, 150% it closes. You don't need to once again recollect them. So until you remember all your format indicators, you have to definitely go on working with them. There is no by-hearted state that you can associate. Be very, very clear about this. So, I don't think conversions can be difficult in either, but there are few circumstances and combinations on which we have to work. Now, I am finalizing the last state of the process now. Now, when I am working, you are seriously concentrating rather than writing on the issues. Be very, very clear about it. Are you catching me? So, let us just start with few constructs. Once again, visiting our insert statement. Even though we can start working on select, now once we start working on insert, we can take few things more practically. You are absolutely concentrating on the screen and you're listening. The moment your schools are coming in, you can check out if you're writing. I don't stop you, but definitely I can tell you one thing. You start writing, you miss the link of discussion. Now that's your headache, I don't stop you from that. So be very, very clear about it. So you just listen and you just start watching. You'll definitely recollect once the moment the school is into your particular mailboxes. So I'll be creating some example table and I'll be working on the issue. So when we are trying to move through the process, you just check. I'm creating one table for this purpose. Create table. I'm saying SAMP INS. And I'm just taking only two columns into this. SAMP ID with number of 6. Then I'll just take SAMP date, which is basically date. Character type does not has any valid or invalid state, so we are not working out on it. First I'll be working on numbers, then I'll start working on the dates. While I'm working on the numbers and dates and everything, I'll be removing the data and I'll be putting the new data. As I'm going through my combinations, please start watching. In between, I could be changing my date in my clock also. Whenever I'm making a change, please concentrate on the change what I'm trying to do. Now, once this table is created, currently we don't have any data in this. Now we want to insert the data into this table now. We are saying insert into SAM INS, and then we are just going with values. Now I am just giving my data in single quotes now. We are picking up sysdate on the other side. Don't concentrate on the date at this stage, okay? Your concentration is not on the date, only on the numbers first. Now I am giving my number, but if you just watch when I am giving my particular piece of the number, I am definitely trying to mention my number in single quotes, I hope so. Any number in single quotes is basically what? String. Okay, it's taken as a string. Now technically I think I am going against to my data type that is existing in my table. But in higher versions, the version has its own intelligence of implicit conversion, therefore it accepts it. Therefore you should always remember one thing, implicit conversion will be working internally always, but to some extent and some limitation. If your data is going beyond that particular limitation or beyond the process of implicit conversion, then immediately you will get an error. I am not getting an error in the sense my Oracle is able to manage such data with a proper implicit conversion as a state. Now, I am just going with one more constraint. Now, I declared my number along with the scale or only with the precision?
Along with
only I scale. Declared a scale or I declared only precision?
Only scale.
I declared only precision. There is no scale in the process. Now, we are just going into the constraint. I am just trying to give my data as this 0.25. What is the total precision I declared? 6. What is the total precision I am giving? 8. More than the actual size or less than the actual size?
More than the actual size.
But you just watch the intelligence of Oracle in higher versions. It adapts only to the precision, rejects the scale. Therefore, if you have declared any particular data type with only a precision, on that particular number, if you are applying the scale at runtime, Oracle rejects the scale, you don't need to worry, it has that intelligence. Even your scale is something that is acceptable value, it will not accept because you never mentioned that particular declaration for scale. So it takes only the state of the precision and leaves the scale as it is. That state of intelligence Oracle has basically in higher versions. Therefore, everything what you do is not a technological error. There is an implicit conversion always that could be helping you. But whenever you feel that your data is an invalid state, a good developer will always tries to follow the conversions definitely. Explicit conversion is always a good habit. So why? Here one of the general questions that arises from a student could be like, so when implicits can happen, then why I should really force with my explicits? Now I have one simple construct. When you are having one tool, let us say, the tool is providing you automation and the tool is also providing you manual process. Which one is better to use?
Automation.
Automation is better to use or manual process better to use? So there are two kinds of people always in the industry where nowadays definitely 80% of people pick up automation. But always remember one thing, automation makes the process faster, but if any kind of bug arises, correction becomes almost highly difficult. Because where automation has lost the link of the process, you can't say. Therefore, always remember a good professional, he will always try to do the things by explicit states but not by implicit states. If you come into Oracle also, there is one criteria you should always remember. When I am doing this, Oracle has done the conversion or not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and it has accepted this as a number. Can you find any disadvantage of this? Can you find any disadvantage of Oracle converting this particular data, which is basically in a character form to a number, and accept it as a number? You don't worry about that. Internally it's a number only, but can you find any disadvantage of this? That's where a beginner's to a professional's attitude will be different. According to the standards, if you speak, by doing like this without using explicit conversion, you have definitely wasted some performance of Oracle. Because Oracle is doing a very heavy job here that may be looking very silly for you. Here Oracle is first taking this as a string. It's not taking this as a number. It went and contacted the database table metadata. In the metadata called as user underscore tab underscore columns, where this table called as SAMP INS is available. In that particular metadata, the first column is registered with the data type of number, but the optimizer is identifying through the parser. This is what? A string. So definitely, immediately an exception has arisen, data type mismatch. Then parser once again started scanning this particular data, bit by bit that's available, and finally found that these are all symbols of only numbers. Gave the instruction to the optimizer that every character that is collected is in the ASCII of the numerical range only. Then the process of the optimizer converted that particular ASCII range to the process to the numerical state and then applied. All this job internally could be costing my time and performance in the architecture. Instead of that, I converted this into a number. At the time of parsing itself, my parser will try to tell the optimizer by converting this as a number. All this internal metadata search and all these things may not be done. Now this may be looking like a very silly composition for a fresher, or maybe a person who is not exposed well application development architecture in Oracle. But you should always remember when you are doing any work in database or any technology, even at the microseconds level, performance will be concerned. It will be considered. So you need to always, Oracle defines its architecture with a performance audit at microseconds level. Means you can understand at what level the systems will expect the performance rate to be analyzed. So for a classroom like activity, this may not be a big issue, but when you are coming to the application oriented side, we always discourage the implicit conversions. We always encourage explicit conversions. Therefore, so my Oracle is able to do that, it's wrong. So your Oracle is able to do that, but technologically it's better you try to expose through the process and you apply. Therefore, in all these cases, for the classroom sake, I just want to say that systems do have implicit conversions. Now, using the implicit conversion, not to use the implicit conversion is only your state of analysis now. I leave the process into your hands. Therefore, you define the states, you don't define the states, that's up to you. But one kind of set of people I've always seen in my whole career, where they always think that if an error takes place, then I will convert it. If an error is taking place, you have to definitely convert it. There is no greatness that you will convert it. But whenever data is being operated, recognizing to the state of that particular piece of the data, whether it is technically in state of validity or invalidity is your job. Therefore, when you do any transaction, when you do any kind of manipulation, how many times you are concentrating on the state of explicit conversions? That's up to you. In the same criteria, I just want you to check one more issue. I am making this as 2 and I am definitely making this as minus. Is a natural minus indication or abnormal? Natural, because minus sign is always to the left side. But I kept the whole data in single quotes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So technically, this should become what now? A symbol. And the remaining are no doubt numerical symbols only, but adapted into what now? Single quotes. Here also the parser will have its own structural intelligence to identify that process as a numerical state, and it can do the job of implicit conversions. But we are putting some load on the systems. I don't know how many heads sitting in this class are keeping experience to your resumes. There is one field definitely your interviewers may cross-check when you are attending interviews by keeping experience. Performance, optimization and tuning. You like, you do not like, you will get questions on them because your resume says your experience. Now, how much of Oracle you can speak in ever case? But can you speak out internals of Oracle at least by 10 to 15%? He will check. If you are not able to speak on internals of Oracle by at least 10 to 15%, your experience may not be helping you in getting a job. Now, how best you understand internals of your Oracle, that I don't think I should care, because nowhere in the overall course we have a signed agreement for Oracle internals with us. But small issues where I am trying to stress, if you can even remember and if you can speak with your interviewer properly, then I think you are making that 10 to 15% difference from the other people who are keeping experience, who are not having that level of the percentage of knowledge to the internals. So, how you are trying to rate your resume, you have to decide. We are leaving off the fundamental standards and we're moving into the applicabilities very soon. Now, what kind of attitude you are having all these days, I don't care, but you have to develop a professionalistic attitude at least from now. Else, few more examples in your hands where people are having thousands of them and you are one of the other people who are there. So try to understand this case. If an interviewer is asking you, can you tell me whether this kind of insert is acceptable or not, then one of this set of students always will be there. They say, yes sir. They'll ask like, are you sure? Yes sir, I'm sure Oracle will do the conversion for me. That's it. They don't speak anything more than that. Beyond that, how much you can speak. So can you explain the pros and cons of this? Just not saying that it will happen or it can happen. Rather than that, can you speak on the pros and cons of this process? How many times you can speak on advantage and disadvantage of this process? How many times you can show the difference between the performance rating that differs between this and your explicit conversions? That's how you can always make an impressive state to the process. So, conversion functions are not difficult. A good professional always knows where to call them. Even though to the classrooms we don't need to call them, if the same thing is done by me in the industrial state, 150% I'll never apply like this, I'll definitely call my conversion function. But in classroom, it's an example, that's it. Now, implicit conversion will happen to some level, not every time. So when it is not happening, definitely we have to take the charge into our hands. So what do you mean by this? You just watch here, I'm having a group separator here. Now when we are having a group separator, 150%, it is absolute rejection. Because according to number system, group separators are not part of the number system, they are only flexibility. So your Oracle is very clearly saying, means the parser has instructed the optimizer that I am unable to parse this data with respect to the data type I found in the database. Immediately optimizer has raised an error. When optimizer raises an error, your job is to see that you are doing the conversions now. You cannot make a question, sir, why Oracle is not doing this? The system is not Oracle, the system is the naturality. According to any number system, the group separators are not part of the number system. It is only human beings who have kept that as a convenience. Anything that is part of the number system, Oracle is absolutely doing that. Anything that is not part of the number system, it will never do that. Now, for the sake of your requirement, you cannot expect Oracle to do everything in automation now. Now, if this is basically happening, then definitely you have to call upon your function that is nothing but what? To number. And we need to specifically say the format indicator of this 9G, 99G, 999. Now once the process has been completed, you are executing through the issue. So now your data has been accepted. That's how when a front end is returning any invalid state of the data, it is a job of the SQL developer to recognize that invalid state, convert that invalid state into valid state and start applying through the process. Now what is the state of that invalidity? You have to catch up. That's definitely your state of concentration. I don't think it's a state of concentration of Oracle. Now in the same criteria we are having, one more specification, let us say, where I want this particular piece of the data to be inserted by the criteria of INR. Now I already said, no database will try to store currency into the column of the numbers. Always remember, numbers are always stored as numbers, not with the currency. Sir, I want to manage my currency. Currency cannot be managed along with the number. Currency should be treated as a separate column with a bit indicator. Means you have to declare another column where when you are storing the data, you have to keep the number into one particular column, your currency into another column, and then manage it. That is the state of the design factor. If you are good in your system analysis and design, you will start capturing all such kind of issues. You don't need to really worry. But one thing what you should believe is, no way we will store any value with the currency into the database by keeping the currency into the same column. Your questions can arise like, so can I declare this particular column as varchar2 and then store it? Now I leave it to your common sense. When a number is essential for you, how many times it's good to declare as a varchar2? Now such kind of questions that never give any meaningful state of process, and it's an healthy discussion to the criteria, I don't think I need to answer now. So system should work with its consistency, not according to your specifications. But the end user is giving the data like this. Your job is to take the value, leave the currency. But how you can just do that? You cannot directly do that because Oracle never adapts it. So technically we have to go with what once again now? Conversion. So we are calling upon the explicit conversion with the function called as what? To number. And then we are just moving down with the process. The format indicator is what? 9G, 99G, 999L. Then we have to go with what once again? NLS underscore currency is equal to INR. So once we specified this and we applied, Oracle adapts it. You just watch properly at any point of time within the actual table. You cannot find that particular currency state going and storing. Only numerical data will be adapted. Once the data is converted into valid state, the data will be in valid state only. It cannot exist with all these invalid characters. Be very clear about that. Now, when we start moving with the last way to check out with the process. Now, if you are very good with your normal conversions, I don't think there is any difficulty in handling the process. Now in the same construct you just want, we are just moving down with some number. There's nothing but say like 5, where I am having a negative sign on the right side. This is an unnatural state of negative sign. Along with the group separators are also troubling me. So definitely it's a rejection from Oracle. So we are just calling the insert once again, and then we are trying to move down through the process by saying what now? To underscore number. And then we need to identify the format indicator 9G99, G999, and then I am trying to say yes. It can be yes, and I always prefer MI. Okay, because MI specifically represents to minus on the right side. You can even keep yes, there's nothing like that you should not keep. So I am preferring my MI. So once I did this, my data is now converted into a valid state. And my minus symbol in my database is absolutely to the left side. So, any number that is falling to the state of the format indicator style can be adapted for what? Conversion. Only for our general convenience I am doing some job, and okay, you don't worry about what I am trying to do here. So this is my hexadecimal value of 1,06,000. Now actually my intention is to see that I am definitely moving down with my process of the number by directly keeping it with this. Now let us just check one thing. If suppose like I don't have A in this, my number is accepted or not accepted?
Accepted.
Accepted as a number or as an hexadecimal number?
As a number.
as a number. It cannot understand that it's an hexadecimal. Now since it's A, definitely it will be rejected. Because A is not considerable factor for what now? A criteria of a number. So, but I am actually expecting this value to be taken as what? A number where it is in hexadecimal form. My system cannot understand this process. So, if you remember your hexadecimal states, you'll say 2 underscore number, and then you're just trying to call down with number of x's. It is not necessary to keep exactly the same number of x's. Just keep it such that the format can be adaptable. So Oracle is definitely moving down to catch the number that is in hexadecimal form and trying to keep it with a conversion to your decimal. All number process, you cannot make Roman number conversion because Roman number is not an infinite system. Therefore, it is not acceptable. So Oracle knows which kind of format is suitable for conversion, which kind of format is not suitable for conversion. After giving the format also, Oracle is not going for conversion. It means that Oracle is not supporting that particular process in reality. Therefore, when we get any invalid data from any environment, how we can say that that invalid state is something that is not acceptable? If we know the correct conversion function and if we know the correct conversion specificator or format indicator, definitely I think we can start moving down the shore. So, that is your total number conversions with the invalid numbers in the inputs. Now let us just move into the concept of the dates now. Now dates, few things we have been missing. Those few things what we have been missing in the dates, we want to finalize now. So date, when I am trying to move in, the criteria is very specifically simple, like how you provide the date is a construct. Okay, so we'll just keep this data and then we'll come along with this. So this is my actual data what I'm having now. Okay. Now on this you are just calling dates very properly. When I'm saying insert into, I'm saying Sam by NS, then I'm saying values. I'm going with my 7. Don't consider the numerical side now. Now I'm giving my data as 20-December-13. It is in the original format of Oracle or any other format now?
Original
format. Acceptable or not acceptable? Acceptable. Now we are going with insert. We are saying this is 8. Then I am just going with this 20 as December and I am saying 13. It is definitely against to the Oracle's format now.
Yes.
But in higher versions it's acceptable. Now we are going with the construct. And we are just moving down with the process where I am saying 2013. Definitely it is something that is against to the Oracle's actual format, but in higher versions it is absolutely accepted. See the way Oracle has its intelligence in making the dates to get associated and get through the process. Now I am removing this hyphen there, then I am trying to go with now. It's looking like a pure string or no?
Yes.
Where we are not separating any kind of day, month and year. But you just watch the Oracle's intelligence on the insert. Okay, I need to call my insert. So when I am going with this, with the process, and I am just going down without these hyphens or anything, in the higher versions of Oracle it can understand. Means dates are identified more intelligently in the new versions when compared with the old versions. But technically, let us watch here. We are going with an insert once again, and I'm just trying to say 11. And here you just watch, I'm removing this December, and I'm giving hyphen 12 hyphen. Now this is definitely a 12th month on the process, and it's 20th that is available with us. When you just go with it, Oracle rejects it. So you cannot say, sir, why Oracle is not converting? Its template is not accepting it, that's all. Why? Because this hyphen with this number, it is thinking that you are going to think about some subtraction. That's why you are saying, I am unable to recognize the month or day or anything in the process. Because the internal state of the data type is saying what it's a date type. Now, this is the case where you should always go with what now? _date. This is my date, what I am having with me. I have to mention my format indicator. What is that now? dd hyphen mm hyphen yy. So the moment it is done, Oracle's acceptance begins. So, whenever your Oracle is going against to the policy of our requirement, then we have to definitely go with the thing of what? Conversions. Now you can just watch, I am totally having how many records? 12 records. All my 12 records are matching to the sysdate or not?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now we are going with the process and we are saying where SAM date is equal to sysdate. My clock is working with 20th December 2013 and all my records are having the same date or no? Yes. Now how many number of records should be presented by my Oracle now? 12 records should be presented. But you just watch the beginner's confusion now. This is definitely an expected question, be careful. He shows you some dates like this. Any dates he can show you and he says, my system is containing 12 records with all the dates matching to the sysdate. When I execute my query with column equal to sysdate, how many records will come? If you are not understanding internal mechanism of Oracle, you will definitely say all the records, whereas in practicality it is no rows. So the only reason this is not happening is all dates are already registered or non-registered? Already registered. With the time or without time?
With the time.
With the time. Okay? With the time they are registered. Now when you are dealing with sysdate comes along with the time or without time? Along with the time. The seconds in the sysdate is not matching with seconds in the actual date what we already registered. Therefore keep it in your mind, whenever a date comparison is taking place, the date is internally comparing the date and the time together up to the seconds. But I don't think at any point of time current second can match with the internal seconds that are already applied. Therefore always it gives you no rows only. Therefore whenever you are dealing with your sysdate directly as a comparison, you cannot get any records from the database server. So then what is the solution? Remove the time and then make a comparison. Means what? We are saying to underscore care of, we are telling the left side that please give me only the date part, dd hyphen mon hyphen yy. And you are going to the right side and here also you are saying that to underscore care, and then you are trying to say that on the sysdate also, please give me only the date part. On both the sides you are eliminating what now? On both the sides you are eliminating what? Time. Since the date is matching, you will get your records. Simple question, but effectively I can tell you 6 students will fail in applying this in interview notes. So, I don't say you don't know the functions, but I can always assure that 70% students, they will forget the application area of the function. We ask them a question on subject, they'll give the answers. We put them into implementation, they fail. And we may not select them, first of all, in the interview room itself we confirm it. We selected, let us say, we kept them in the project. Project is reality when you cannot bluff and you cannot stay in the project. Be very clear about that. I'm telling you one thing, with your attitude, with your body language, with your interpersonal skills, communication skills, gestures, and many other things are there, you can manage your interviewer. 100% you can manage him and you can definitely have your job. But the moment we keep you in the project, these things will never help you because only your intellectual skill will help you. You cannot work, you'll be pushed outside. very clear. I'll be having very regular mails from students who say like, sir, I got selected, we are a team of 15 members. Every day generally they will be coming in the chat box to say about their experience. Sir, already it's just 30 days. 5 of my team members who were selected along with me are removed. Now I am getting fear like whether I will stay or not. This system cannot keep people who are not competent. Presently it's not possible. Long back maybe we survived, but you cannot survive like that. Be very clear. Fittest of the survival. Are you the best among the whole team? No sir, I have great skills of manipulating the people. Sorry man, you can't manipulate corporate sector. If anybody is manipulating in corporate sector, then somewhere some unwanted things are happening, that's it. One day when those unwanted things get projected, he and everybody will be eliminated. It cannot go down because we are capitalistic people, we work for profits, we always see what is the profit, what is the gain we are having at the end of the day. Early morning my bank balance is 1 crore, by evening is it possible to make it 1.5 crore, that's all. No other calculations will be there. Whoever can help me in that, they will stay in the company, whoever cannot help, they will be leaving the company. That's so quick decisions. Be very clear. Today, definitely we are very straightforward in recruiting, removing the people. Therefore, you have to keep your interpersonal skills and intellectual skills and you have to work. You cannot say, sir, a book did not give an example. Books cannot give you everything. That's what I say, books cannot be written for projects. Books can be written only for the subject and the syntax, nothing more than that. You have to sit and work out on the process. So no way you have to make a comparison on SysNet directly. I am making my point very clear to you. Especially for those freshers who are off campus, you be very careful. It's not so easy to get a job through off campus. It's very easy to get through on campus. You're already off campus, so your struggle has started. And for those people who are keeping experience, be very sure every minute you have to prove your experience, else it's difficult for you. And we will take rating from you every day. Every day we will take rating from you. And the markets are actually moving. In the process where the markets are moving, please start up, I'm telling you. There is some kind of news for the IT people. Can you tell me what is that particular news, man? The European markets are moving now. The Indian software industry, the mistakes what it has done in last 20 years, now they started correcting it. And we are getting the fruits of it now. Slowly started. We always started depending on only the Western people. Now the Western markets are down, we became automatically weak. There's a huge amount of market in Europe. But why Indians did not capture Europe markets? Any idea? The simple reason is, Europeans, they don't believe the people so easily. Westerners, they believe the people very easily. Therefore, we were able to take projects from Western domain very easily because we Indians are most manipulative people. So we took. Europeans, they don't let us come nearer. To satisfy one German, it will take minimum 15 years for you. You daily shake your hand with him, daily say good morning, and you speak with him, eat with him, dine with him, but he'll never believe you for 15 to 20 years. Means you should have patience to make him believe that you are a person who can work for him. But once they believe, they don't leave. But Western culture is not like that. With first a single shake hand only, they start hugging you and they'll start making the things happen. Next day they'll divorce you and they'll say go away. So quick. So we like those people only because first shake hand is enough because Indian can give a wonderful shake hand. And enough. But those people once they come in, they don't go. You just watch their economy levels, they go on falling now. Now Indian markets, Indian software companies are getting projects from Europe basically. The best thing you can see is day before yesterday, Narayana Murthy was announcing that they are going to make 16,000 recruitments in 2014. Are you one among that 16,000 what Infosys can become? You check out. Why? Because there are 12 lakh people in the market today. 16,000 vacancies are about to come in Infosys. 12 lakh software engineers in India are waiting for jobs today. Do you know the ratio first of all? So, today the ratio is very critical when for every single job in software industry, 10,000 is the ratio, 1 is to 10,000. Are you one best among 10,000 people? Freshers are making my point very, very clear. And in the 16,000 jobs what Infosys is about to release, definitely you can expect 20 to 30% vacancies will be for databases. Because without a database, no system can exist. And you will see very soon, by another 1 or 2 months, definitely the top level other companies will come. Actually, our recruitment process should start very seriously in 2012 itself. But with some useless things that were happening in India, the Europeans were not interested to come into our markets. The biggest blow was the Commonwealth scam. Actually, we had projects, discussions were going on with Europeans and the Euro unions, because in Europe we have an advantage. If you get into Euro Union, any European country will give you project. It's not like Western countries. In Western countries only US. But Euro is not like that. If you get into any country in the Euro Union can give you the project. Means we have a great market here only actually. But we neglected it. Because to convince an US guy, 2 meetings are enough. To convince one European guy, 2 years are also not enough. So what Indian companies thought is, rather than convincing these people, it's better going and doing the projects for Western people. That's how we adapted, but they collapsed. You can understand, since 4.5 years, Indian IT is really struggling. No new projects and existing projects are getting exhausted. And how many times you can believe me, around 60% of the payments that should come from Western markets to Indian companies for which projects have already been developed, they are in already debts. They are not paid. 60% revenue not paid. Projects are already delivered. You can just imagine how much money is hanging out. You ask them, they are saying we don't have money. These all economic trends are never known to the student. He just thinks like, I want a job. If you want a job, you should make the industries to believe that they can give you a job. So, start up now. TCS was in the row in 2012, it announced, actually 2011 it announced, saying that we will go for 35,000 recruitments in 2012. 2012 completed, 2013 is about to close. Till now TCS has recruited not more than 7,500 out of the 35,000. Why? The simple reason is they were basically not interested to select people from off campus. They are unable to believe because people are coming, you put them in the project, they are not doing. In interview room, they are wonderful. You can't even imagine. Okay? You ask him questions in the interview room, he looks like Oracle's Larison, the owner of Oracle Corporation. So clearly the student is speaking about Oracle. You put him in the project, he is unable to write at least one simple statement what we are expecting. So you come from your side properly. Else, till 2015, you have opportunity to have your jobs now, because these are the 2 years very great movement in jobs will be there as far as our calculations and expectations are going on. You are not getting ready in this process. Once again, recession will come, definitely. Wait and check.